Dr. Paul Turner, paramedic and Deputy Branch Secretary of the GMB Union. Hi, Paul.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you and you're members of the people working at the sharp edge of this, aren't you?
Absolutely, yes. We're right at the front.
Tell me what you're seeing.
Well, first and foremost, I think we should make it absolutely clear this isn't something new. We've been experiencing this year on year on year on year. And all that's happening is it's getting worse and worse and worse. And every year I do these type of speeches to say how the ambulance services. And all that's happening is it's getting worse and worse and worse. And every year I do these type of speeches to say how the ambulance service is massively underfunded. We haven't got enough staff. And I do this every single year. And I think at some point, someone is going to have to grab it by the horns and say, what does the ambulance service need? What does the NHS need? And what does social care need to be able to function to keep patients safe? And that's the questions that need to be asked. We haven't got enough staff. And I do this every single year. And I think at some point, someone is going to have to grab it by the horns and say, what does the ambulance service need? What does the NHS need? And what does social care need to be able to function to keep patients safe? And that's the questions that need to be asked.
So the clogging up in car parks, the people being left for hours on end, has only worsened because of the numbers of people coming forward after the pandemic? Is that what you're saying?
No, these issues have been queuing outside hospitals well before the pandemic, but it wasn't to the extent of what we're doing now. You know, we are now queuing for 10 hours plus outside hospitals.
Which is insane.
Not every hospital, by the way, across the UK, but some of them were experiencing 10 hours. So that 10 hours, you don't have an ambulance, because the crew will be sat with that patient for 10 hours. We can't just leave people outside A&E departments. We have to safely discharge that person to another clinician. And do you know what? I do not blame the hospital staff. I don't blame the ambulance staff. What is the lack of funding and recurrent funding? The government say on a regular basis we're going to add an extra £1 billion to the NHS. But what the bosses of the ambulance service tell me is that money is not recurrent. So what that means is they don't know whether they're going to get that year on year on year. And because of that, we don't recruit staff to match that demand.
Well, Sajid Javid said in the last week or so, the NHS doesn't need more money.
Oh, well, I'd like him to explain how we're going to carry on the way we are to match the demand that we're seeing. Is it acceptable that we leave patients a long time, as you've explained already on your show, on the floor because we're going to serious cases? And do we accept that we should be sitting outside hospitals for hours upon hours? And as I said, that's a non-responsing vehicle now because we are queuing
and a person who should be in a bed, not on a trolley in a hospital.
Absolutely. Our stretchers aren't the most comfortable things in the world. And we do try and get that, patient onto a hospital stretcher as quick as we possibly can. But I'm not sure how we carry on for much longer the way we are. The NHS and social care is under immense pressure at the moment. We're seeing hospitals declaring major incidents. We're seeing ambulance services declaring major incidents because of the amount of calls that are coming into the service. Well,
it's interesting to hear from Daniil there. His recommendation in the report is that the Health and Social Care Department, i.e. Sajid Javid, takes the lead on this and gets all of those systems working together better. Now, his isn't a political role, so that he's done his part. Do you have any faith, Paul, that Sajid Javid is going to get those various elements of that system together, take the lead on making it work better, and at least be open to discussion about more money?
No, I don't think for 1 minute that's what the Conservative Party will do. And I'm not a very political person, but, we are seeing the decline very, very quickly. We are now using private providers within the ambulance service, within the NHS, because we can't recruit into those positions on a more permanent basis because it's not recurrent funding. Now, call me a cynical, but why are we using private providers? You know, we saw through the COVID pandemic where people were given private contracts to be able to deliver on the NHS, and we've wasted billions and billions of pounds. All I ask and all my members ask for is that there is enough vehicles so we can attend patients and then they're not suffering down the line. And that's all we're asking for. We're not asking for loads and loads of money to be thrown if it's run properly. But what we are asking for is to fund it correctly now, because right now we are massively short of staff due to the demand.
OK, thank you very much, Paul. Paul Turner.
No problem.
Thank you. Paul Turner is paramedic himself and Deputy Branch Secretary of the GMB Union. Be great to hear from as many paramedics